What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Point2Point NHL Recap Show, Season 3, Episode 8. I'm Pascal Pryor, joined by Mark Haverlack. Mark, before we get into things today, how are you doing?
Good, dude. Got my first NHL game of the year yesterday. Went to the Sabres-Hurricanes game. Dude, I only paid $40 Canadian, and they're like the number one team in the East. I was sitting all the way up in the 300s, scoped some seats down like in the hundreds. Second and third period, I was sitting like 12 rows up from the ice, so it was pretty good. Felt like Carolina was kind of a little bit flat, and Buffalo actually looked like a solid team yesterday, dude. I was really surprised. Honestly, building was kind of rowdy too because there was no Bills game going on. It was honestly like the most packed I've ever been to a Sabres game, and they got good fans, dude. I honestly hope they can turn it around at some point and get back in the playoffs because I think that building would be pretty rowdy.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice rink there too, the KeyBank Center, I think it is. I've been to a couple games there because when the Flames come out east, it's nice, cheap, and it's also easy to get down to Buffalo for a game. Yeah, I like the building. I like the kind of like the city a little bit. Like it's all right. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to seem with everybody having them on their no trade list. But yeah, I agree with you. I think at some point seeing Buffalo kind of get out of the sewers and get into the playoffs, that place in that city would be bumping. Let's get right into the news for today. We're going to start out talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. After a lot of shakeup during the offseason, the Leafs currently sit at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Mark, is it time to worry with this team?
I think somewhat. I do think it's being blown out of proportion like a little bit. In the sense that like, dude, like every single team in the Eastern Conference is in the hunt. Like you can say whatever, but like we're talking about the Leafs being last in the Atlantic. They're 6 points behind Detroit, who's in first. So honestly, it seems like teams that can go on like a little bit of a winning streak or a losing streak either go up or down in the standings substantially. Like we're talking about the Habs, how good of a start they went on, 9-3. They lost 5 in a row, and it's like we're on the outside looking in on a playoff spot now, right? And with only 2 points back of a playoff spot. So I would say that it's a bit of time to worry, though, considering like they don't look the same to me. And look, I get they got injuries. I get it. But to be fair, they didn't really look the same before those guys were out either. Like, I understand it's kind of like you're treading water right now with like Matthews being out, Nyes being out, like Chris Tanev, one of your best defensemen. Honestly, Stolarz didn't really have that great of a start this year, but I also feel like he was just kind of overused. So if you can get both goalies healthy, Joseph Woll's looked pretty solid since he's been back. Like I don't know if you watched the game at all on Saturday against the Habs. Like, I kind of think that them pulling Joseph Woll was like a sympathy pull. Like he was kind of one of the only guys that showed up against the Habs on Saturday, right? And it was like, I don't know if it was just like Berube was like, all right, he doesn't really deserve to get shelled anymore. Like, let's just take him out. Or if he was trying to like spark the team. But honestly, if it was to spark the team thing, I'd be kind of pissed if I was Wall because it was like, I felt like even though he let in 4 goals, he looked like he was like in a rhythm. He was making such nice saves. It's like this guy's been out for so long. He's trying to get back into it, but if he's also trying to like shelter him so his confidence isn't ruined, like I do understand that as well. And the Leafs were just totally out of that game in the second period, dude.
I also wonder with the pulling there, how much of that also factors into the fact that right now Anthony Stolarz is injured, right? And like we know Joseph Woll, he has a bit of an injury history as well. So I wonder if even Berube was partially thinking like, okay, like not only let's try to kind of shake things up here and get the team going, but also let's give Joseph Woll a break so he can be ready to play going forward, right? Because like we all know, like the Leafs don't have a whole lot of faith in Dennis Hill to be like there is upside there, but let's be real, like the Leafs 2 guys are Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz, and if Berube can pull, like I wonder if Berube's kind of thinking if I pull Woll here, like are we going to be able to get an extra start out of him next week? You know what I mean? Because for the Leafs, like you do want to be going into as many games as you can with Joseph Woll right now because you're already kind of treading water and you don't want to be having to throw in your backup AHL goalie into games when you're treading water. You know what I mean? You want to be going in there with your best goalie. And right now that's Joseph Woll, right? But for me, I agree with you, dude. Like, I think it is a bit worried to kind of wave the white flag here for the Toronto Maple Leafs on the season. Like, as you mentioned, they're only 6 points back of first place in that division. But, like, I am starting to get worried about this team because like we haven't seen them play to their full potential, I don't think yet. And even when they were healthy. And it's like, based off what we've seen this season, like they don't look, they just, I don't think there's been any point where you can look at this team and safely say like, yeah, this looks like a no doubt playoff team. This looks like a team that is going to win a round in the playoffs. And this is what fans are expecting from the Toronto Maple Leafs at this point with this team. Like, fans are expecting them to make the playoffs, win the division, win a round or if not more in the playoffs. And from what we've seen with this team, like I have no confidence in this team to win a playoff round if they can even make the playoffs.
So when you say like we haven't seen this team to the full potential, are you more thinking of like what we've seen in the past in this era, or are you just being like they're off to a shit start? I still think this group of players, we haven't seen the full potential. Because my thing is like, if they can get through these injuries and still kind of stay afloat, maybe it's 500, maybe it's around there.
Yeah.
Like, at what point of the season are we going to be like, would you be like, this is just who they are? Like, you know what I mean? Maybe it's like, we don't see their like quote unquote full potential. Like, it's just like last year, would you have not said the same thing about like the Rangers? Like, even halfway through the year being like, I don't think we've seen their full potential. They've been shit. And it just like kind of continued and continued and continued. And it was just like,
Yeah.
I think they're just who they are at this point. Like, I'm starting to even think about that about the Rangers too. Now it's like, going into this season, okay, you get Gavrikov, you lose Miller, you bring in some depth pieces. They should probably get back in the playoffs. And then now it's like they're almost in the same position as the Leafs. And it's like I'm literally just starting to think that that's who the New York Rangers are at this point. I don't think there's like another gear to them. I think they could potentially make changes and maybe things can go on the up. But with the Leafs, it's like I'm not willing to say that yet. I don't think we've seen the best out of them because we haven't seen the best out of like Matthews and some other guys. But I just wonder like what game point it's going to be like, okay, this is kind of like what they are at this point. Like maybe this is kind of a lost season. But I think there's still time. And it's like the thing now, it's like the injuries, right? But the thing is too, it's like everyone's saying Saturday they had injuries. Dude, the Habs have 4 regulars out right now too.
Everybody is injured.
Care if it's not Austin Matthews, it's a regular. We still had 3 guys playing from Laval. Like, we had our guy that was supposed to be our backup goalie coming into the season starting on Saturday. We were on a 5-game losing streak heading into that game, and there was a lot of question marks about our team. Buddy, if the Leafs came out and beat us 5-2 and it was the reverse, Montreal would be continuing to freak out right now because they were freaking out before that game.
Yeah.
But we came out, we played solid, and it's like, oh, okay, we got good goaltending, yada, yada. It seems like we can build off this, right? But with the Leafs, it's like, I don't even think the effort is there half the time. That's my problem, right? And it's like you can't just be using the excuse every game. Oh, I got Matthews and Nyes and Matthews out. Okay, well, if you're going to use that excuse every game, if you think you're going anywhere in the playoffs, you're fucking mistaken. If you're using that excuse, right? Because playoffs are built off depth. Buddy, the Panthers are basically in the same spot as the Leafs, and they haven't had 2 of their best forwards all season. And I expected them to be like this, but they're not complaining. You know what I mean? Panthers are just like, fuck, we got to get into the dance and then we'll be fine. Right.
Yep.
And I'm not seeing that from the Leafs right now. And it's like they are underachieving. Some guys are underachieving that they've acquired recently. Carlo, Michelli, Nick Waugh. Right. But I don't know. I'm not that optimistic at this point that they're going to get in. Like, I just think this division is so wild right now that it's hard for me to see them to jump all these teams, continue that if they jump all of them and get into the playoffs. But maybe I'm wrong, but I'll be honest right now, I don't think they're going to get in this year.
Yeah, I'm all on board with that, dude. Like, based off what I've seen from this team, I don't unless they get healthy and all of a sudden they start playing to their full potential, which, like, to be honest, it is a bit of a long shot. I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs. And that leads into my next question, Mark. If this team does miss the playoffs, like, what's next for them? Because this is a team for the past however long Matthews has been there, 8 or so years now. This is a team that really hasn't been able to get over the hump. And then they finally make the big changes to the core over the offseason. And, like, so far, they've taken a big step back here. So if this team does miss the playoffs, like, what's next for them?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like giving a full answer to that question probably isn't fair, considering we're only like a quarter of the way through the season. But I would say that if like it does continue the way that it's progressing right now, and say these problems just don't get better, it's kind of like, well, you lost. They seem like they lack a top six forward right now that can create offense and play make. I was really curious if Michelli could have gotten back to where he was and was going to be able to provide that, because people were just like, oh yeah, he had a bad season last year, this isn't a good move. I'm just like, I don't know. He was injured a bit and then he kind of lost his spot in the lineup. Like, he had back-to-back 50-point seasons. Like, I'm kind of like more betting on that than like the one out year, but it seems like he's almost continuing that play from last year, right? The problem is, it's like they don't really have like a ton of money really like coming off the books, right? Like, Michelli's an RFA. Assets. That's the thing, right? Like, if I'm the Leafs, honestly, like you just traded Minton and Gurbenkin last year, I would honestly treat like Danford and Cowan as like this year, no, not doing it. I got to hold on to them. We got to plug guys into the lineup eventually that are on entry-level contracts, because we're always going to be a cap team. Cowan, I honestly think, has looked fine. I thought he was one of their best players on Saturday, and he probably was snake-bitten from getting a goal. I wouldn't be moving him right now. I unless you're getting another equal prospect that's on an entry-level contract that you think might have a higher upside. That's the only reason I'd be looking to move one of those guys. I'm not looking to bring in like a top 4 defenseman or a top 6 winger by doing that, because honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Cowan can fill that hole eventually. It might not be this year, but I could imagine him being a top 6 winger in the future, to be quite honest. And Danford, I mean, you never know with defenseman in progression, but he probably has like a number 4 to 3 defenseman upside who can play defensive, right? And it's probably something the Leafs could use. So the two guys that have been kind of floating around out there are Domi and Brendan Carlo. The one thing I would say is, if you're trading Domi, I'm not quite sure if you're really getting value. Like, I'm kind of at the point where I think they need to make a hockey trade. Like, I don't think I'd be trading picks. They don't even have their first this year, right? Like, I wouldn't be trading picks unless you find a really good value deal for a lower round pick. So it's like you're kind of going into your cupboards of Domi, Brendan Carlo. I don't think Domi's getting anything of value back. You might have to take on an odd contract to get someone back and maybe just kind of shaking things up a bit. With Brendan Carlo, I know the year has been bad, but I'm still convinced there's value in the player. Like, are you telling me right now that a team wouldn't be willing to take Brendan Carlo on at $3.4 million for this year and next year to potentially fill a hole in a top 4?
And he's a right-hand shot defenseman too. Like,
he's big, but he's not physical. But he's big, but he's not physical. But I think that there would be teams that would be like, yeah, I'm interested. I know his year's not going well, but maybe put him with a better partner or a fresh scenery. Something could happen here, right? Like, I actually like them claiming Stetcher. I think he's been pretty good for the first couple of games. I just wonder if they're dangling Brendan Carlo. But the one thing is, it's like, dude, you gave up a first-round pick that right now is a top 10 pick and a prospect that's, I think Minton's solid. I only think he really has like 3C upside, to be quite honest, but fuck, dude. Like, he's playing right now. Carlo's not. Like, could you have used that on your team? Like, it's almost like, do you want to pull the ship on a guy that you just brought in and you gave a lot for, right? But the thing is, the way I'm seeing is, it's like, maybe that's a move that could help your season. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe they can dangle him and bring in some sort of impact forward. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm not moving OEL. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's probably been their best defenseman this year. And every year it feels like there's almost a question of like, who's going to be Morgan Rielly's defense partner this year? You know what I mean? I feel like we've been having this conversation every year for the past 5 years. And a lot of the times Morgan Rielly was better before and they just couldn't find him a partner. Now I feel like Morgan Rielly is like a negative value asset, to be quite honest. But OEL's been good with him, and OEL was good before they even put him with him. So I'm not dangling OEL. I like McCabe still. Maybe it's Benoit. or maybe it's some other depth guys up front. But the one thing I will say is, like, I don't think if the Leafs make a move, like, I'm not convinced it's going to be a big move at all. Like, I think there's no way they can make this happen with a big move without giving up futures. It's not going to happen, and I don't think they want to do that after last year.
They don't have the futures to give up right now, to be honest. And the other thing too is, like, they're so close to the cap. It's like it's going to be money in, money out type of deal, right? Like the Leafs really right now are not in a great area to go out and make a big change. Like it's what you said. It's going to be kind of a hockey trade, like a 1-for-1 type of deal. And to be honest, like, I don't know if that's going to be enough to kind of shake the Leafs up and get them back into a playoff spot. Like, back to what you mentioned earlier with the whole comparison to New York Rangers last season, it's like, is this just what the Maple Leafs are? Like, I don't think we're at that point yet, but I think we're getting somewhat close to it, man. Like, if this team's fully healthy, and let's say by the Olympic break, they've had like a month of this team being fully healthy and they're still in a similar position to what they're in now, like, I think at that point I'd be ready to say, like, okay, like, I think this team is kind of what they are right now. And then for the Leafs to get out of that, it's like, what do? Like, you're going to have to track some free agents in the summer if that's a possibility, but they're close to the cap, as you mentioned. And then the other issue with them is they got no assets right now. Like, their assets is Easton Cowan and Ben Danford, and, like, to be honest, though, you should not be moving on from them.
One guy I was wondering about, though, dude, like, I think teams would have interest in Dennis Hildeby. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, do you dangle that? And people saying, no, he's the future, whatever. Okay, then I got a question for you. I know this is 2 years away. So the 2027 season begins. Dennis Hildeby's on the last year of his contract, making $840,000, but he's on a one-way deal. Joseph Woll and Anthony Stolarz will still be signed in that season. Are you just waiting till then and making a decision of, okay, who's going to be the odd man out at this point? Or because the thing is, it's like, I kind of disagree with you that I think they do have trust in Hildeby right now, because they did give him a couple starts. I know Stolarz got hurt, but I think he's been fine. I know Joseph Woll's been good since he's came back, but I think Hildeby's been fine. So my thing is that, say the Leafs goaltending, Stolarz comes back, Woll's still healthy, and maybe it's not the same tandem it was last year, but we're looking at it like, okay, like it's a top 10 tandem in the league. Yeah, like 2 1A, 1B goalies, it's working. And Hildeby's not really getting his chances anymore in the NHL. He's going down to the Marlies. Like, so then Hildeby's going to be 26 years old when he's going to be on his one way and limited NHL experience. It's kind of like, if they are going to dangle a prospect, I think it would be Hildeby right now. That's just the way I see it, because I think them committing to Stolarz told you everything you need to know about Hildeby's future with this team. That's just the way I see it, unless they're willing to move Woll or Stolarz, which I don't think is going to happen.
I'd be more willing to move Woll or Stolarz than I would be Hildeby, to be honest, dude. Like, I think,
do you think the upside is higher?
For me, it's just more like with Woll and Stolarz, dude. It's such the health is such a question mark with those two. You know what I mean? It's like, we saw it last year. Like, the tandem was good when they're healthy, but there was a lot of times where one of those guys was injured and not playing, and Hildeby had to be called up. It's like, if you do get rid of Hildeby, who's your third goaltender? And like, at some point they're going to play, so you got to trust them.
Well, they got Akhtiamov, who's honestly a decent prospect too. I wouldn't say he's got the upside as a Hildeby, but he still needs like a couple years in the AHL, I think, before. But the way I see it is like, okay, well, you just signed Stolarz, and Woll's got 2 years left on his deal too. So, like, is this how we're going about this now? Like I'm not really 100% sure, right? So, I think teams would have interest in Hildeby if they dangled that carrot, to be honest. But I think they might stand pat with it for now, considering the injury history, and like Hildeby can be called up and whatever. But I think I'm just more like, if you want to optimize his value, I feel like you should do it soon. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know what value you're going to be getting for him. Like, I could see a situation in 2026 where, oh my God, the Leafs got 3 goalies again, and it's like Vancouver that they trade Seelovs for a 4th round pick because they don't want to lose him in waivers, and it's like, he's been pretty good this year, right? So that's just the way I see it, right? And everyone's like, oh my God, it's a steal of a trade, and it's like, well, maybe if they traded Seelovs after that playoff run, they could have got more than a 4th round pick for him, right? So when you're saying you're not ready, I don't know the exact wording you use, but you said you're not ready to pull ship, but you're a little bit worried about it still. So I was kind of counting the Leafs games while you were talking about that. When do you feel like is an appropriate time to like commit to either, okay, we're doing well and we can go for it and get in the playoffs, or holy shit, this isn't working out and we might need to pull ship? Because I've heard Leaf fans talking about, hey, if this isn't going to work, I'd be down to sell some assets off, get some picks, retool over the offseason, like maybe even try to get a 1st round pick back, even if it's not yours, and get back into the 1st round. So I was counting while you were talking about that. The Leafs' 41st game of the season, which would be the halfway point, is on New Year's Day this year, on January 1st. And now this is a bit of a unique season considering they're taking about 22 days off with the Olympic schedule, which is right in the middle of February, near the end of February. Once players come back to play after the Olympics, there's going to be about 16 days before the trade deadline, I believe. So I've heard Leaf fans say like mid-January, you got to make that decision, because they believe that, and I also believe that there might be a little bit of a mini trade deadline before the actual trade deadline this year. And I think that date is about a week and a half to 2 weeks before they head off to the Olympics. Do you agree? Yeah. Do you think January 1st is a good kind of date to even be like, if you're tree living, all right, we're 19-4. We're kind of in it, but we're not really doing well. Let's start putting our guys out there. All right, Brendan Carlo, give me the offers. Give me the offers. You know what I mean?
It's really tricky considering the Leafs don't have their 1st round pick this year and it's only top 5 protected. But like, dude, if I'm the Leafs and they're in a similar situation come like New Year or the holiday time, I think at that point I'd be pulling the ship, dude. I'd be pulling
like right
the ship
after World Junior time, kind of.
Yeah, I'd be pulling the ship then. I'd be like, to be honest, I'd say anybody but the young guys, and then sort of the core players or anybody other than that's like available. Because if I'm the Leafs, like, what's the point? What's the point in them missing the playoffs, finishing as the last? You know what I mean? Like, if they're the last team to knock into the playoffs, I would rather them finish in the bottom 5 than finish as the last team to not make the playoffs, because it's like, at least if they finish bottom 5, like there's a hope of them getting a top 5 pick there and being able to hold on to their pick, right? Where it's like, if you miss the playoffs and you're the last team to not get in, it's like, you didn't make the playoffs, you don't have your pick. Like, what do you kind of, you know what I mean? Like, what do you kind of have to look forward to into the offseason that's going to help you out? So I think if I'm the Leafs, dude, like, the sooner the better, almost, to kind of write the season off. Like, of course you don't want to do it tomorrow when it's like this team could still get into playoffs.
No, because I think that sends the wrong message to internally, being like, okay, you guys are pulling the ship 22 games into the season, like you literally have no trust in this team. Like,
but it's like
we're like, how bad everything's been, dude. We're still a quarter way through the season.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of time to figure this out still.
I feel like last year at this point we were talking about Montreal and we were like, oh my God, this team's like
going for Schaefer.
Another lottery. Yeah, they're going for Schaefer, and then all of a sudden they're in a great position and they make the playoffs, right? It's like the Leafs could still turn it around, but the thing for me that makes this so tricky with the Leafs is the fact that that Boston has their 1st round pick and it's only top 5 protected. That's what makes it really tricky. Is that like like there is a real scenario where the Leafs miss the playoffs and they end up with like the seventh overall pick or the sixth overall pick, and it's like if that happens, man, I think that's the worst case scenario for the Leafs season. And at this point, like it's looking like that could be a strong possibility, right? So
And yeah,
it's like when it comes down to that, it's like they either got to turn things around here and make the playoffs, or you got to finish bad enough where you're going to end up with that top five pick and you're going to be able to hold on to the pick this year.
like a
And
couple
there's,
like and I completely agree. Sorry to kind of cut you off there at the end, but they I think that we're obviously saying it's still early. They got time to figure it out. Like couple things that I think that would have to happen for them to figure it out. Like obviously the intensity and the speed is just not there. If they could somehow
yeah,
address that, and honestly, like as much as the 5-on-5 hasn't been great, like neither really is the special teams, dude. Like they're 25th in the league right now in power play percentage with a 15% conversion rate, and they're 19th in penalty kill. Like they're letting in almost 3.5 goals a game right now too. Like there's a lot of areas to clean up. Like it's not just like one little thing that's kind of bugging them. You know what I mean? That they're going through a slump. Like there's a couple different areas that they really need to either go out and address or figure out internally, right? Like when you say like anybody's available except the core guys, like would you be willing to trade like McCabe and Tanev? Because it's like I kind of disagree with you where it's like anybody's available except those guys. Cause like the way I see it is like, dude, they spent so long trying to get like a Chris Tanev. Like I know teams would have interest in him if they dangled him and they could probably get a return, but it's like then you're just going out and trying to like replace that again, dude. Like I don't know. Like I would say I'd have to really go through it, but like I wouldn't say like more than half of their team I'd be making available right now. Like I'm not
I
trying to
wouldn't.
trade McCabe. I'm not trying to take Tanev, Nyes, Tavares, Matthews, Cowan, Danford. Like I'm not
Yeah,
dangling any of those
I
guys,
I
dude.
kind of
Like
more what I mean by that is more what I mean is that those guys wouldn't be untouchable. You know what I mean? Like
if the price was right and
yeah,
something.
I'm not saying like a guy like Tanev or McCabe, like I'm going around and being like, hey, like he's available, but it's more like, man, if a team came along and they're giving me like the right price for a guy like Tanev, like that is something that I would strongly consider if I was the Leafs if we get to that point, right? It's like for me, the only guys that are untouchable would be Matthews, Nyes, Nylander. Probably you throw JT in there as well. Outside of that, dude, like I don't think there's anybody on this team that would be untouchable if we got to that point here for the Leafs.
That's fair enough.
Mark, let's move out to the opposite coast here of Canada and talk about the Vancouver Canucks. They're currently on a 3 game losing streak, and again, they're on the outside looking in for a playoff spot. Pardon me, Mark. This is the one where personally I think it's time. But do you think it's time for a rebuild in Vancouver?
I try to be optimistic going into the season with the whole Quinn Hughes situation and how I think Vancouver can perform. But they've been a very boring team to watch. I feel like this year, even though they have probably one of the most energetic and entertaining players in the league in
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes. But it's been tough, dude. I didn't think, I honestly, dude, I would have bet 50 grand that they were going to beat you guys yesterday. Like I had
Should
no
have made that
faith you
bet
guys
with
were
you.
winning. I did not think that you guys coming off the second half of a back-to-back after beating one of the better teams in the league were going to come out and beat the Canucks. But they looked really flat. You guys looked really good. That surprised me a lot, and I'm kind of happy that you wanted to talk about this team today. Couple guys. Obviously, Quinn Hughes is a big one. What do they do with him? I'm kind of curious. What would you do with Kiefer Sherwood? Do you think they're going to make a mistake and re-sign him to a ridiculous contract, or do you think they might be like, all right, we gotta start selling here, and he's a prime candidate, like a playoff team would love to get this guy? Because I know what my answer would be, but we know this organization and how they don't want to say they're taking a step back ever, right? It feels like it's been so long. So curious to know what your thoughts are about this situation.
I think Vancouver is in a very unique scenario here compared to in times past, where you got a guy in Quinn Hughes who, at this point, dude, like he's gone. I don't I don't think there's a shot in hell he's staying around with Vancouver to miss a play, to just be on a team that's current like always stuck in the middle. I don't think he's going to stick around. And given Vancouver's dealing with that, it's like if Quinn Hughes leaves, I think that's going to force ownership, management, the whole organization to look at it and go, yeah, we do have to go through a rebuild. Because like if this team is not making the playoffs with Quinn Hughes in the lineup, well, if that guy moves on and he's not in the Vancouver Canucks lineup, like there's no shot in hell they're going to be making the playoffs, right? It's like right now at least there's somewhat of a shot that they can maybe just sneak in on a given year, but if Quinn Hughes leaves, it's like that's a team that you got to go through a rebuild. So like I think you're going to have some hard discussions in Vancouver, to be honest. I think you're gonna have to sit down, figure out kind of what the future is gonna look like for Quinn Hughes, and if he's not in the future, then you gotta have some more tough conversations. And like Kiefer Sherwood, he's having a phenomenal season, dude. If Vancouver decides to go that rebuilding path, like Kiefer Sherwood, I think you could get a decent amount back in a trade for him right now, to be honest. Like he's a physical guy, and you're seeing a fair bit of point production from this year, right? It's like he's a guy that I think a lot of teams would love to have for the playoffs. What do you think they're going to kind of do here with this whole situation, though, Mark?
Um, I think that they're gonna kind of ride it out a bit longer. Like I don't know if that's gonna be to the point where it's like past the deadline and all season. So do you feel different? We talked about the Leafs and like how it's still early and there's still time to turn it around. I still think if the Canucks figured it out, like they could probably still turn it around and get in a playoff spot. They're not like they're not playing well. It's kind of bad, but it's not the worst start ever. You know what I mean? Like, are you kind of the same thing? Is it like Christmas time and we're like pull and shoot here? Is it like even the beginning of December? Like, are we waiting till after Olympics? Like, and I don't even mean to like pull the shoot on Quinn Hughes. Like, I mean like because honestly, like I would still kind of focus on like guys that are like expiring too, right? Like
Yeah,
I still think a team would be interested in Evander Kane if you were willing to retain half for like the playoffs to like plug him in a bottom six role. Like he has shown that he could score goals in the playoffs in the past. Like I'm not convinced that no team in the league wouldn't be interested in that for maybe half a season. I wouldn't be saying long term, but like Kiefer Sherwood's a UFA as well. What decisions are you kind of making here? And even in net, it's like Demko's hurt a lot, but like, does someone have interest in Kevin Lankinen? Like, do you get out of that contract?
even
Like, at what point are you willing to pull shoot on this?
even I'm wondering if some of you would be interested in Thatcher Demko, man. It's like
It's that extension that scares me though,
the
dude.
extension's scary, but like there could you never know. Like there could be some interest there, right? For me, I think the timeline really depends on Quinn Hughes, right? Like I think I think if I think if by the new year you got to start having that conversation with Hughes and saying like, are you like what's the future here?
All right,
Depending
hear me
on
out on this, okay? I say you have the conversation with him right after Olympics because it's going to be the time where he is about to go and play with his brother. And if you're in the same situation, I think you're really going to have a good answer of how he feels about it. You know, like he
yeah,
might come off a high and it's like, yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm done here. And it's like you can maybe skip because the thing is, it's like you don't this I'm sorry, dude, and I know it might up the value a bit more, but this doesn't need to happen at the deadline. It doesn't need to.
yeah, it doesn't have to.
It could happen at the draft. You know what I mean? And I get okay, you get a little bit more value, yada yada. Like it's an extra playoff run, that's fine. But like it doesn't necessarily need to happen at the trade deadline, right?
It's
And
It's
maybe
more
he starts coming to terms with it more and he finishes out the season and it's like, you know what, I'm gonna leave. There's still a year left. I want you guys to get something for me. You treated me well. It's just not gonna work out. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I think it's like you could talk to him about it in January and he might be like, yeah, I still don't know, yada yada. But I feel like you'll start to really feel about like he feels about it like right after the Olympics, right when he's experienced playing with one of his brothers.
And the thing with that too is like, if you do feel that Quinn Hughes is going to move on, as you mentioned, like you don't have to trade him this year's trade deadline. But if you know what the future is by that point, it's like you can be more comfortable to move on from like a guy like Kiefer Sherwood, right? Where it's like if you're uncertain at this year's trade deadline, like, oh, like do we still have a shot of keeping Hughes around? You're gonna err on the side of wanting to keep Kiefer Sherwood and some of these like Evander Kane's, because these are the guys that are gonna make the team not terrible and have some sort of hope of keeping Hughes around, right? So I'm with you. I think you try to find out around Olympics kind of where Quinn Hughes' kind of headset is, and then you base all your decisions from there. But I'm going to be
Like
honest,
you're
dude. I think
Go ahead,
this is a
sorry.
team. I think this is a team that they got to go through a rebuild. They've been stuck in the middle for too long now, and it's not working out. Like the fans are unhappy. For me, the craziest thing about this dude is ownership is so like stuck on not wanting to go through a rebuild and not taking a step back. Meanwhile, there's so many Canucks fans that are like, man, just pull the cord, dude. Like, go through the rebuild. That's for me what I find the craziest about this situation with this team. What were you gonna say there though?
I think I just think the hard part about it, especially if it's like they made, and I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, but I think the difficult decision would be like, say they go into the offseason and like a Quinn Hughes trade is imminent and they're kind of like verbally like, hey, we're gonna pull shoot on this. Like I just wonder about like the Demkos who just re-signed, like Connor Garland signed an extension the same day that doesn't kick in till next year, a 6x6. Like they still have some guys on long-term contracts. And I
Yeah,
wonder if the conversations start happening like to be real, like UFAs this summer, it's like Teddy Bluger. Honestly, you might be able to get a mid-round pick for him. Centers are hard to come by. He's won a Stanley Cup with Vegas. He might be able to fit in as a fourth line center somewhere. Kiefer Sherwood, we talked about, to UFA. Maybe someone gets interest in David Kampf. You know what I mean? Like he's only making
yeah.
$1 million now. Their defense is pretty locked in, minus Forbort's a UFA this year. Like, do you go to Tyler Myers and be like, hey, are you interested in going anywhere? Like, but besides that, it's like long-term deals. We still got Pettersson. Besser just re-signed. DeBrusk signed last summer. I talked about Connor Garland. Like Niels Hoglander's got 3 years left on his deal. And then on D, it's like Lankinen's long-term, Hronek's long-term, Pettersson signed for 5 years. Like maybe you start pull and shoot with some of those guys, but I still I see for them it being difficult because it's like, holy shit, we just signed these guys and gave these guys all of this money. Like it's like do we really want to pay all this money for them to go through a rebuild? You know what I mean? In their prime years, how happy are they going to be about this? Like, do they see it as like a negative for when they might be good in the future? And it's like they just sign guys, and then it's like, oh hey guys, but we're actually going to go through a rebuild in the first year of your contract now. You know what I mean?
See,
Like I wonder if they worry about that perspective. You know what I
here's my
mean?
thing with that though, is that when all these guys signed, all these guys knew, like all these guys are aware of what's going on with the Quinn Hughes situation, right? Like we talked about it with like when McDavid signed, like Jake Wallman waited until, well, you know what I mean? Jake Wallman didn't sign with the Oilers because until after McDavid signed and he knew what was going on there. Like all these players on Vancouver that have signed long term, like they're all aware of what's going on with Hughes and kind of the situation there. And I think if I'm Vancouver and Quinn Hughes is leaving, dude, it's like I think all of those guys, like a lot of those guys, probably become available, man, because you could get some decent assets back from those guys. And let's be honest, like if you end up keeping those guys, man, it's like I think this team is a fair bit of moves away from being at the top of the Pacific Division and really competing for a Stanley Cup. Especially when you look at the Pacific Division and like Anaheim's arrived, right? Like the San Jose Sharks, like they don't look too far off, man. It could be within a couple years, like even maybe next season where they're starting to make the playoffs. It's like Vegas is still going to be there. The Oilers, yeah, they've been down, but who knows what ends up happening with them, right? It's like if you're Vancouver, you could be looking at it here, and it's like it's going to be a tough road for them to be making the playoffs for the next couple of years.
The reason why I asked this question is this is how I kind of see this potentially playing out, okay? I do think Quinn Hughes is going to leave, and I think that I think it's highly unlikely that this is happening midseason.
Yeah.
And this is why I kind of reference the whole Olympic thing. If I was Vancouver management, they have to understand and realize that he could leave. If right now, I'd probably be thinking it's most likely going to happen, but I don't want anything. Maybe Quinn doesn't even want to deal with it in the season, right? Like he's still a kid that wants to play hockey, right? And he obviously understands that this opportunity could lie ahead of him where he could play with his brothers. But I still think at the end of the day, he loves Vancouver and wants to win there. Like, I don't think it's about that at all, right? If I was their management, I wouldn't say a word to him about it until after the Olympics. Because like I said, him playing with his brother, I think it's a whole different perspective. Dude, they got a chance to go there and win the thing. Like, what if he wins a gold medal and he starts realizing I could do this with my brother with a cup, right? Yeah. So I would start talking to him about it then, because then you still have time to potentially, if you're not good, you still have a couple weeks to sell off different assets, work on a trade. But the way I kind of see this playing out is him going to New Jersey in a trade. And I think it's going to be very difficult for them to only get futures, considering he's underpaid, but he still makes almost $8 million. Like, they can't just fit that into their team. One guy who I've been publicly talking about that I think is going to be out the door for them in the future is Dougie Hamilton. And I could totally see a scenario where they're bringing Dougie Hamilton in and maybe a couple of assets, maybe there's a first-round pick, could be a couple quality players. I see them filling out their team and not going a rebuild route. That's the way I see it. And I don't think it's the right decision, but I think evidence has showed us with this organization that they're not willing to do it. And say it's like, I don't know, we could have a 30-minute conversation of what the right deal is for Quinn Hughes. Let's say off the top of your head, it's Dougie Hamilton, Dawson Mercer, and a first, okay? Let's say that's the deal, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe that's too little, that's too much, I don't fucking know. Maybe they see it as, oh my God, we got a potential second line center and we still got a guy that could come in and run our power play and we could still be competitive. That is honestly how I see this playing out.
See, and for me, like I could see it playing out that way, but I just think that's so far to being the wrong move, dude. Like they tried doing that last year with JT Miller when they kind of traded him away, you know. Let's make the hockey move. And how's that worked out for them? It's worked out terrible, man. He's not even playing right now, man. It's like it couldn't have worked out. I don't think the JT Miller, pardon me, trade. I don't think that could have worked out any worse for them, dude.
The funny thing is he's been brutal. And it's like it's still like they still aren't winning the trade because their guy's not even fucking playing.
It's right? Like last year for JT Miller, they probably could have gotten gotten like a guy that was available last year, Isaac Howard. You probably could have gotten like Isaac Howard plus a first round pick for JT Miller last year. But no, let's go get Philip Hedl, a guy that's one concussion away from never playing hockey again. Like, how does that make sense, man? I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. But hey, I'm not the GM of the team, so clearly,
I totally understand like what you're saying, but I'm just more looking at it like they've given us evidence that they don't like
Yeah.
and willing to rebuild. That it's like I almost see a situation like this playing out where it's like they get quality NHL players back or have the opportunity to because of salary, and it's like, okay, like we're still good, like Doug Hamill's a good player, don't get me wrong, right? So it's just like I don't know, I just see that kind of happening. Like obviously, like it's kind of just like if he's only willing to sign in New Jersey, like I really wonder like what the value is going to end up being. But they're still going to have to give up something of
Yeah.
quality, right? And maybe they're just like, hey, like Dougie Hamilton, like there's no way you could make this decor work with Dougie Hamilton there too, and then both Hughes brothers, and like they already have a very deep core, and it's almost like right now with what they've got, when Kovacevic comes back and Brett Pesce, and all the right side is healthy, like Simone Nemec, like he's been playing so well and deserves a spot. It's like they're gonna have to trade one of their right D regardless. So
Yeah.
they're probably like, hey, we're willing to give you like a Dougie Hamilton in this, right? So yeah, I mean it's gonna be tough because it's not like it's a prime quality player, and he'd be like I don't know if he's really that interested in going to a lot of different teams. Like especially the way the Devils are starting this year, like he's going to be like, holy shit, like I can play with my brothers and be on a very good quality team at the same time. So like I don't know if there'd be really any other teams that he's kind of like super adamant about going to. You know what I mean? Like I think he's kind
Yeah.
of like New Jersey's my main spot right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough situation for the Vancouver Canucks right now. Mark, I want to stay in Canada. We've talked about two Canadian teams so far. Now I want to talk about Team Canada for the Olympics. Today and going forward, each episode we're going to be choosing one team for the Olympics, and we're going to be doing our projected roster. Not our projected roster, but our roster we would bring to the Olympics. So this isn't as much projecting what the roster will be, but more what we would do if we were the GMs of Team Canada. Mark, I'm gonna get things kicked off. On my first line, I got Sidney Crosby, centered by Nathan McKinnon, and I got Sam Reinhart on the other wing. Second line, I got Braden Point with Connor McDavid up the center of the ice. And playing on his right wing, I got Connor Bedard. My third line, I got Nick Suzuki playing center. Left wing, I got Macklin Celebrini. And on the right wing, I got Mitch Marner. And then on my fourth line, I got Brad Marchand, centered by Mark Scheifele. And I got Tom Wilson on the other wing. And then my two other forwards are Brandon Hagel and Seth Jarvis. My last cuts for my forward positions was Zach Hyman, Mark Stone, and Anthony Cirelli. So those are some guys that I was pretty heavily debating putting on the team, but ended up they're not going over to Italy. My D core, I got Devon Tays and Kel McCarr. I got Josh Morrissey, Shea Theodore as my second pairing. And my third pairing, I got Thomas Harley and Colton Parenko. And then the two defensemen that I'm also bringing is Matthew Schaefer. I'm bringing the young guns, and Travis Sanheim as well. And then my last cuts for defensemen was Noah Dobson and Brandon Montour. And then for my goalies, I'm going to bring Logan Thompson. He's going to be my starter as well, by the way. Jordan Binnington's going to be my backup. And then my third goalie will be Darcy Kemper. Mark, how do you kind of feel about that team? Any crazy comments you have or anything like that?
I mean, like I feel like I should go through my team first because I feel like I might more give it away if I comment on your team now. We can kind of just talk about it. I have a couple guys written down that are already I know that are different than mine, but I'll go through my team first and then we can kind of discuss it. So on my first line, I've got Nathan McKinnon centering Sidney Crosby and Braden Point. My second line,
Yeah.
I've got Connor McDavid centering Macklin Celebrini and Mitch Marner. My third line, I've got Nick Suzuki centering Brandon Hagel and Sam Reinhart. And my fourth line, I've got Mark Scheifele centering Brad Marchand and Mark Stone. My two substitutes on forward as 13th and 14th forwards are Connor Bedard and Sam Bennett. Guys that I left off that you had, Seth Jarvis and Tom Wilson. I think those are the only two that were different.
Yep.
And then considering I had Mark Stone in, My defense core, pretty similar to yours, but there's one guy that's different. I got Taves with Makar as my first pair. Josh Morrissey with Colton Parayko as my second pair. My third pair is Thomas Harley with Drew Doughty. Pretty sure Drew Doughty you didn't have on. I didn't hear him. You mention
Nope.
him, or I didn't hear you mention him as a guy who just potentially got cut either. And then my two substitutes right now are Shea Theodore and Matthew Schaefer. And then in net, my three goalies, honestly, just because he won it in the Four Nations, I'll give Jordan Binnington the start on night one against Czechia. I've got Logan Thompson backing him up, and I've got Darcy Kemper also as my third goalie. So only three guys I noticed at least we had four guys: Sam Bennett, Seth Jarvis, Tom Wilson, Mark Stone up front, and then on defense, you had Sanheim, I had Drew Doughty.
Yep.
I will be honest with you. I think I was so against bringing Drew Doughty earlier in the year. I think he's been good this year. I think he needs to be there. I think a lot of the guys that are stars on Canada loved him there. And I honestly think that, and I have heard that he is they have four guys right now that are considered locks, and he's one of them. That's what I've heard.
See, Drew Doughty, like, for me, I'd be willing to not take Travis Sanheim and take Drew Doughty. But, like, for me, I want to see Matthew Schaefer there, to be honest. I want to see him there. He's played phenomenal early on in his rookie year. I think he could be a big insurance if like a guy like Cale Makar or Josh Morrissey, right? Like one of the more offensive defensemen. If they go down, I think Matthew Schaefer, like that's a big insurance having him there. For me, if Drew Doughty's going, like I'd take Travis Sanheim away on my team personally, but I would enjoy seeing him there.
I think the problem I have with your roster on defense is so you're automatically every game setting it up where they only have two right D.
Pretty much.
I don't really love that. I think honestly, if it's not Doughty, I'd be looking at another right-handed D. Because it's not that like a couple games here and there I'm not willing to go. Like Shea Theodore plays his offside a lot, not this year because Petrangelo's out, but he was a lot. So it's not that he's not capable of it, but I don't love going into a situation where that's my only option, I guess is what I'm saying. Like I'd be looking at someone else if it's not Doughty, like that's right-handed, in my opinion. That see, the thing is, people will rip me for this. I don't love Sanheim. I think he's a quality defenseman. I honestly think he's not even my ninth option right now. That's just personal. That's personally how I felt. I don't think he really stood out that much at Four Nations last year. I felt like Harley coming in and wasn't even named to the team was a lot more. He provided a lot more in the tournament, and I without a doubt have him over Sanheim. And see, the thing is, it's like I'm a huge Uyghur guy, but I will be honest with you, I don't think this year he's really shown what he's capable of.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think I'm willing to bring him now. Like I would have been willing to do it at Four Nations, but like it's like now it's kind of like if you're not gonna do it, like don't do it, right? Like I even understand Parayko's having a bit of a down year, but fuck, dude, he looked good with Morrissey. They complemented each other so well. Like I just think that's a given pair.
Yeah. For me, the defense, I think take out Travis Sanheim, bring Drew Doughty. I'm fine with that, to be honest. I agree with you.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought we were just going to more transition to like up front the differences we have. Like we could shuffle the lines all we want. I know there was kind of a couple guys here. Like I don't think we had either the exact same lines, but it's like I understand your kind of methodology behind it. You know what I mean? The one thing I'm kind of curious about in your decision making is, look, I kind of wrestled with Tom Wilson too. I will be honest. I think right now he's like he's like a top 16 forward, for me, for this team. And I think put it this way: if someone gets hurt, I'd be highly considering it. If someone gets hurt and can't make the tournament, I'd be highly considering it. What left him off for me was, I'm bringing Sam Bennett. I don't think we necessarily need both of them. And it was either Mark Stone or Tom Wilson for me. I'll be honest. And I think that if Mark Stone is healthy, he can provide a lot defensively and has already shown chemistry with like Crosby, that I think that if Mark Stone is healthy, he's going.
So for me, the way I looked at it was, for me, I was going to bring either Tom Wilson or Sam Bennett. I think like this team already has enough natural centermen. You don't really need to bring, like, I'm not basing like, oh, Bennett's a centerman, I'm gonna bring him. What if the centerman goes down? Like, if the centerman goes down, well, you move over one of the 5 centermen playing on the wing to play center, right? For me, I'm just looking at it like the Four Nations face off in the Olympics. I think it's gonna be a lot different hockey that we saw. Like the Four Nations face off when Canada USA was playing, it was a lot of fights, a lot of scrums. Dude, at the Olympics, like you can't fight. So
why are you bringing Tom Wilson then?
Because here's my thing, dude. Tom Wilson can still score the puck, man. Like I think Sam Bennett, like the way Sam Bennett's been playing this year, he does not look good, dude. I think for me, it's like Tom Wilson. You're getting a lot of kind of similar things to Sam Bennett in the physicality and the feistiness, but you're also getting a lot more offensive production.
Okay, but then I will be honest with you. I feel like the conversation we had about the Florida Panthers in the offseason and how I did not love the Sam Bennett contract contradicts this point for you entirely.
It does.
Because you told me that Sam Bennett is being paid to perform in the playoffs, and I would argue the Olympics is like the playoffs. And I think that he scored a huge goal last year in the finals. And I will be honest with you. I think Sam Bennett was as close to a lock of making this team as the top 6 guys that got named.
You think so, eh?
Absolutely. I think 100%. I think they love him. I think Cooper loves him. And I think they look at it as, okay, if he's really that fucking bad, he can sit in the press box.
I'll be honest. I think Sam Bennett probably is pretty close to a lock to making the team. But, like, man, if I was the GM, dude, like, just given the style the Olympics is going to be, like, I wouldn't be, like, I don't think I'd be having him as a lock, man. Like, I don't think he's.
Maybe a bit of a stretch for me to say that, but I do think that he's like. I will be honest with you. I think he has a better chance of making this team than like Nick Suzuki and Mark Scheifele do. I will be honest. I think he's on there before both of those guys.
And I would agree with that. Like honestly, like I wouldn't say that he's far off from making the team. I just look at it, man. It's like, if I'm the GM of this team, I just don't think Sam Bennett is going to be able to be as effective at the Olympics as he was at the Four Nations or in the playoffs in the NHL. You know what I mean? It's like in the playoffs in the NHL, he can run around and hit everybody, and he can fight guys. And like in the Olympics, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to get called, and then we're going to watch that and be like, in the NHL playoffs.
I think Tom Wilson worries me more. I think Tom Wilson worries me more for that, though. Like, I just honestly, I hate to say this, and I love the guy, but if he goes, I totally see there a situation where he's getting like a 5-minute. Like, I totally see him laying out a hit that's like controversial, but probably not even that dirty, and it's like he's getting the boot because the IIHF is so much more strict. That's what worries me about Tom Wilson. It's nothing about he's not a great player and he's having a great season once again and is probably turning into a top 6 power forward, and it's not just a fluke. But I will be honest with you, the 2 guys that you had on that I didn't, Jarvis and Wilson, were my 13th and 14th forward. Or sorry, were my 15th and 16th forwards. The other 2 guys I was really wrestling with to make the team. Okay, one guy I wanted to talk to you about. We don't have to have a huge conversation about him, and I don't think he's making the team because I obviously mentioned his name. But one guy, dude, I was talking to a buddy about this. I think it's absolutely crazy that they have these lists, right? And it's like we've named about 8, 9 defensemen that could potentially make the team, and one guy who's had a great 2 seasons now in a row, who's Canadian, he was born in America, but he identifies as Canadian, who never gets talked about to make this team, is Jacob Chikrin. And I think it's
Yeah.
nuts that he is not at least in the conversation. As you
I
can
think
tell, I don't think he's good enough to make this team, but I think it's like they say, oh, we're narrowing the list down to Schaefer and Sanheim and Doughty and Harley. I just can't believe that I haven't heard Jacob Chikrin's name once.
I'll be honest, I think if he was a right-hand shot defenseman, like I'd be considering him maybe over Theodore, to be honest. Like it'd be close between
He
those
is on
two,
pace
but
to score 20 goals for the second straight season now,
I just
right?
think given the fact that he's a left-hand shot defenseman and it's like you already got a lot of that within the lineup of, that we're bringing, it kind of hurts his case a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just looking at it. It's like you got Morrissey and you got Taze as your top two left-hand shot defensemen. It's like
yeah.
if you're bringing Chikrin in, you kind of want him playing within the top four. Like I don't think as a shutdown guy on the bottom pairing, he's really going to be too effective.
No, but I would
And then
argue
it's
either like Harley is not like a huge shutdown guy either, but it's like Doughty kind of is. So it's like I don't know if it's like a situation where Chikrin was
yeah,
with Doughty on the third pair. Like I don't think that's bad. And before people come at me because I know he's born in Florida, he was invited to Canada's World Junior Camp in 2016, so he plays for Canada even though he is American. Thomas Harley is also American and he plays for Canada. So just wanted to point that out before I get ripped apart.
everybody's just gonna be in the comments. He's American. He's
He's born in
American.
Florida.
And then yeah, just to go back to the forwards too, and just quickly touch on the other difference we had there. For me, I wasn't taking Mark Stone. If I'm being honest, I think he probably does make the Olympic team. Personally, I just didn't take Stone just because I think that health thing's a big question mark, man.
Oh, so you more see it as like he's just actually not going to be available.
I think for me, I think like he might be available, but I'm just like, if I'm the GM, I'm not risking that, to be honest, dude. I'm not risking bringing
Really?
him being 75%. Hey, I'd rather Seth Travis come and have his boys fucking party boat over to Italy and be there again.
I
Throw a
hated that
party
I
boat in
had
the
to keep
winter.
him off the team, Seth Jarvis. The one thing I
Yeah,
do wonder though, and the one thing that look, I don't think you putting Sanheim on the team is that unrealistic. Like I do think he does have a chance to make it. It's just I don't think he should be there. I wonder how much of it though, like the Stone thing, it's like that's almost Bruce Cassidy's guy. You
I
know,
think
I don't
yeah,
know if it's I don't know if it's different now because they're Marners there in Vegas, but I see that. But then I also in Philly, Rick Tocchet is the coach, who's also on Canada's staff, and it's like we don't have Konechny going now. Like, is this like Sanheim almost his guy? Like, no, we got to bring him, right? Like,
yeah.
I wonder if that really does matter. And it's like Tampa Bay, like points obviously going already. We don't have Sorelli going, but I do think Hagel will be there. Like I think he's kind of turned it around enough, and he's an effective player who plays a different style that I think he could be effective there. So you also got to kind of take these things into consideration, dude, a little bit of like the staff and who could be going exactly. Like okay, so and before we kind of like go into our game segment, obviously we had the same goalies. And like,
Yep.
kind of, I know you have Thompson starting. We could debate that. I understand why you have him starting. I just more see Binnington you kind of ride the guy who got you there kind of thing, even though he's having a much worse season. You could always adjust on the fly. I think regardless, they both should get a start each to begin the tournament.
Yep.
I'm totally fine bringing Kemper as the third guy. I think it would have to be a disaster for him to
To
potentially get
play.
in there. But I do think that he was elite last year and he's been really solid again, that I think he deserves it. Did you really wrestle with bringing Kemper at all? Was there a fourth guy that you kind of thought about or
Not
no?
really, man. I like I had a
Everyone's
brief
saying Wedgwood. Everyone's saying
I know a
Wedgwood.
lot of people have been saying that. He's a backup goalie, bro. He's a backup.
I
Like
know he's just and the thing is it's like what are we look,
let's
I
see a
love him.
sample.
I love him, but it's like, dude, like we're talking about the goalie who's on the best team in the NHL, dude.
And a
Like
five
I
game
just don't
sample size.
yeah. Like
Like
it's just
he's been a career backup goalie, bro. He's started like you know what I mean? It's like
hear me out. If we're going the route for a third goalie where it's like, I don't care if we're taking a starter, I think I've seen more of a sample size and consistently to play good in small sample sizes is Jake Allen. Like, if we're going that
Yeah,
route of a backup, I would prefer to take Jake Allen. But
yeah,
honestly, I think Darcy Kemper's the guy. Other guys that obviously were probably in the mix, but like haven't proved it enough. They had to be looking at Montembeault. He's been terrible. See, I really still wonder about Aiden Hill if he's healthy, but he just really hasn't been healthy at all, right? Um, they obviously considered Stuart Skinner. That's not happening. Blackwood, he's just been injured too much.
yeah.
Um, like I don't really know who else. Like, I mean, Jet Greaves is also a Canadian option. He just hasn't played enough, but he's been solid for Columbus this year, I feel like. So I don't think the way I'm looking at it is these are my three guys. I didn't really wrestle with that fourth decision. I don't really think it's that. I think coming into the season, it for sure was a conversation
Oh
because
yeah,
I saw it as Montembeault played pretty solid for Montreal last year. Like, maybe if he played solid again, he'd be on the team, right? But it's not going that way, right? So I think right now these three guys are my guys without a doubt. Even though Binnington's been shit, I'll say plan out. He's been terrible this year, and he's been a little bit better lately. But he also wasn't that good going into Four Nations last year, and then played well and turned the season around. So it's like I've seen proof of it. And if he really is that bad, the first game, man, I honestly, dude. Other countries have better options for the three goalies, and I have no problem admitting that. But I will be honest with you, I'm not really concerned. I'm not. I'm more confident this year than I am last year.
same.
And it's like honestly, if Binnington shits the bed, I'm kind of like, all right, Darcy Kemper, Logan Thompson. I think one of you guys could figure it out, dude. 2010, Brodeur started. Luongo came in. Brodeur wasn't good at the beginning of the tournament. It's not like there's no proof that this can't work out, right?
Yeah.
With a goalie starting off. So I don't know. I'm not really. I would say for sure it's like their weakest position. I'm not saying that's a false statement, but I will say that I'm not that concerned about it. I'm honestly not. I think Logan Thompson right now could win the Vezina Trophy this season.
Yeah, like he could win. I'm with you. Like Logan Thompson, he looks like he's like a top 5 goalie right now in the NHL based on the last season and a half. It's like Jordan Binnington, we've seen what he does in international play in big games like multiple times. And then Darcy Kemper, like he's been arguably a top 5 goalie as well for the past season and a half, right? It's like
he had one rough year with the Caps, and he's been a solid starting goalie like every other year. Like I don't really understand the problem.
I'm not worried for the goaltending, to be honest. Let's move on to our game segment of the episode, though. Today we're going to be doing a new game on the podcast. It is a career path type of game, so we're each going to kind of say a guy's career path, and then we have to guess the player. Mark, I want to start off guessing here.
I'm going to give you a minute and a half. Let me just grab my phone, and I want you to guess this guy. As I'm counting down the timer here, I will say the route this player his career has gone on. And I will say for people listening that this is an active player. Okay. So you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready now.
All right. So clock just begun. So I'm going to talk. You can talk to St. Catharines Falcons, the GOJHL. Then he made his way over to the Thorold Blackhawks, who also are in that league. And then he took a step up to the Sioux Greyhounds of the OHL. And he has played on 5 NHL teams. You have a minute and 10 seconds left, just so you know. He began with Colorado, made his way over to Arizona. Then he made his way to Toronto, then over to Pittsburgh, and he is currently playing for the Buffalo Sabres. You have less than a minute to go here.
I'm trying to think of Canadian guys. I don't think it's any defenseman on their team. Is it Alex Lyon?
No.
It's got to be a forward. Oh, is it no. Is it Zucker?
30 seconds.
Or not?
No. Not Jason Zucker. This is an active player on the Buffalo Sabres. 100%. Went to the game yesterday. This guy was playing in the game.
It's got to
You
be
have
an older
got
guy, I
12
think.
seconds left. 12 seconds left. I can't believe we added the junior teams in there, but I kind of like the twist to it. You got one more guess. I'll give you.
Alex Tuck? That's the only other
No.
guy I can think of. He's not
The
even.
player, it is. You were wrong. It is a defenseman. It's
It
Connor
is.
Timmins. Connor Timmins is actually from the Niagara area as well. This is
I
why
should
he
have.
started there, made his way over to the
Yeah.
Sioux, drafted by Colorado in the first round,
Yeah.
traded. I think he was traded to Arizona. I think he was in the Darcy Kemper deal, and then he was traded 1-for-1 for Curtis Douglas to get to the Leafs. Leafs traded him at the deadline last year with Pittsburgh. They sent him to Pittsburgh, brought back Brendan Carlo to upgrade their third pair, and then in the offseason, he was traded to Buffalo for Connor Clifton.
It
So
was
my player was Connor Timmins of the Buffalo Sabres.
it was tough because when I saw how many teams the guy was on, I was thinking it was going to be somebody older than Connor Timmins, and then immediately when I think of guys that are older on Buffalo, there's like two of them.
Yeah, I think
So,
at least the guys like Tuck, Lyon, Zucker, I believe they're all American.
yeah,
So I think
they
they all went to
yeah.
school. I'm not too sure if any of them played major junior in Canada, but that was actually a decent one. I feel like it wasn't
It
like
was
too many teams, but it kind of stumped you a little bit. Like
it was
I'm
definitely
kind
a stumper. Okay, I got mine up next. Let me know when you're ready to guess, and I'll start the timer, and I will go through his career path.
of ready to go, dude.
Okay, so this guy started out playing for the Plymouth Whalers. He was drafted and played for the New Jersey Devils. Then he played for the Arizona Coyotes, pardon me. Then he again played for the New Jersey Devils. Then again after that, he played for the Arizona Coyotes. And then he went on to the Dallas Stars, then the Nashville Predators, and he is currently on the Colorado Avalanche.
I'm gonna go with. I feel like I know this one right off the bat, dude. It's.
Yeah,
I feel is it Scott Wedgwood?
yeah, it is. It is Scott
Yeah,
Wedgwood.
yeah. He's been kind of a journeyman, dude. I felt like I didn't know the Plymouth Whalers part. That's pretty cool. But I knew I once they went Arizona twice, I felt like that kind of gave it away for me.
Yeah,
But that is like it made me think for a minute. Like you were talking, and I was like, I don't know who the hell this is. I was kind of like. I literally was like Yoel Kiviranta, like I was, and then I was like, he was on Dallas, like, um, yeah, that's a good one though, dude. The Nashville, Colorado, I feel like just kind of gave it away for me, but I didn't realize he was on the Devils twice though.
yeah, Devils and the Coyotes twice. I will say that like the Devils, the first time he played 4 games with them, and then he went to Arizona and played 20 with them.
Drafted by them though.
Yeah, drafted by the Devils. Drafted
Wow,
by
I
the
did not know
Devils,
he was drafted by the Devils.
played 4 games in 2015, 2016, then 2017, 2018. He played for Arizona, then 2020, 2021, back to New Jersey, then back to Arizona in 21, 22, and then Dallas, Nashville, Colorado after that. But yeah, I kind of forgot that doing a guy that was on Plymouth as well is kind of
I did not know
running in
that
this.
part, dude. I did not know that part at all, Plymouth. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, he's been quite the journeyman. I feel like people haven't really realized how long he's been around for. Like, I mean, he was a
Yeah.
third goalie a little bit, but he's filled in as a kind of a backup too. But he's playing solid with Colorado. Um, yeah, I mean, he's been in Olympic conversations. So I mean, he's as much as he's like playing behind a good team, it's kind of just like he's
Yeah, he
also
was playing
playing
well.
well too, right? Like, got a shutout yesterday against the Hawks. So, um, yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Scott Wedgwood. Plymouth. I remember those Plymouth Whalers jerseys and when he was playing there because that was back when you could do the you could still do GM mode for like the OHL teams in NHL, and I'd always do GM modes and get Scott Wedgwood on my team. So shout out to him. But it was a good game today. I like giving the career path. I want to try it. it was a battle for mine, I will say that. Overall, though, that's going to wrap up today's episode. Next week, we'll be doing another Olympic team. So it might be USA, it might be Sweden. We'll have to figure out what team we're going to do for that. But stay tuned for that. And for everybody listening in right now, thanks for tuning in.